Hello and welcome to Nltv. You are watching News Now. I'm Chipen Kung. Let's take a look at the headlines. Nagaland wears a deserted look as NSCN-IM calls for total closure of shops and business establishments as a mark of protest against the government of India's stand on Naga Framework Agreement. The 8th session of the 13th Nagaland Legislative Assembly commences. The two-day session to conclude on August 5 after recess on August 4. India's men's hockey team fails to qualify for finals, lost to Belgium 2-5 in the semi-final. Will now play the bronze medal playoff. Central Board of Secondary Education, CPSE declares Class 10 results. Girls once again outshine the boys. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi chairs a breakfast meeting of opposition leaders to formulate a joint strategy against BJP. And now, the news in details. NSCN-IM called for total closure of shops and business establishments in Nagaland starting midnight of August 2nd till 12 noon of August 3rd as a mark of protest against Government of India for keeping silent on the framework agreement even after 6 years. Places like Kohima, Dimapur, Mon, Dunsang, Jimuni were completely shut down and life came to a halt during the band. On the other hand, Confederation of Nagaland Chamber of Commerce and Industries (CNCCI) has directed the trade bodies in all districts to carry out the business as usual on August 3 in their respective districts because they stated that they haven't received any such letter or intimation or request for the whole Nagaland business establishment closure from any corner. NSCN-IM called for total closure of shops and business establishments in Nagaland starting midnight of August 2nd till 12 noon of August 3rd as a mark of protest against Government of India for keeping silent on the framework agreement even after 6 years. Places like Dimapur, Kohima, Dunsang, Jimuni were completely shut down and life came to a halt during the band. On the other hand, Confederation of Nagaland Chamber of Commerce and Industries (CNCCI) has directed the trade bodies in all districts to carry out the business as usual on August 3 in their respective districts because they stated that they haven't received any such letter or intimation or request for whole Nagaland business establishment closure from any corner.
Amikan la state te NSCN-IM pra tukan gora manukan aro business establishment gora manange so panu agita agina physically protest corona parlebi as a mark of protest against the government of India tukan pon grubole 2nd August midnight pra logina 3rd August paro baje tak pon grole to chanai dise itu to kile implement gro lagi jese gule to ide tak pi government of India bra even after 6 years framework agreement nimide chap thaka nimide itu implement grow lagi jese aji ami yan dikhibo pare ase Dimapur town de ki dukan khan ekta bi khola nai aro sob shutter pon kurigina ase gona itu ami yan dikhi ase. On the other hand, the Confederation of Nagaland Chamber of Commerce and Industry CNCCI pra koise ajila din de 3rd August le to dukan khan sob bandu as usual khulibo gona itu janai dise kile mane ta khan iku letter panai nolebi iku request panai itu establishment kan pon grubole itu ta kan janai dise hulibi aji ami kan dikhibo pare ase ki sadharan sob pon kurna ase aro tokan kan ekta bi khola nai gona itu ami kan report ase.
The two-day monsoon session of Nagaland Legislative Assembly has begun from 9:30 a.m. on August 3 in the Assembly Hall, Kohima. It is the 8th session of the 13th Nagaland Assembly. The 3-day-long session will have one-day recess on August 4 and will conclude on August 5. During the first day of the session, the Assembly took out obituary references, questions, passing of bills, laying of reports, representation of Assembly Committee reports, the adoption of the government resolution and announcement of revised composition of various financial and non-financial matters were also taken up during the first day. The Central Board of Secondary Education today declared the Class 10 results at 12 p.m. The result link is now available on the official website, that is cbseresults.nic.in. This year, girls have performed better than boys, with an overall pass percentage of girls with 99.24% and boys stand at 98.89%. Meanwhile, the transgender pass percentage is 100%. A total of 20,97,128 were eligible for the Class 10 exams, of which results of 20,76,997 students have passed. A total of 16.16639 students' results are under process. Dates of the results release will be announced later. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi today chaired a breakfast meeting of opposition leaders. The Congress leader had invited members of 17 opposition parties to the meeting to formulate a joint strategy against Bharatiya Janata Party and Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. Leaders of 15 parties, including Trinamool Congress, were present at today's gathering. However, Aam Aadmi Party and Bahujan Samaj Party skipped the meeting. During the meeting, Rahul Gandhi said the single motive to invite you is that we should unite. The more the voice unites, the more powerful it will become. The more difficult it will become for the BJP and RSS to suppress the voice. We should remember the foundation of unity between that. We can have few arguments, which is a simple thing. It is important that now we start to come up with the principles of foundation.
Humiliating and shutting up the voice of the people of India and the majority of the voice of the people of India. The single most important thing in my view is that we unite this voice. The more this voice unites, the more powerful this voice will become and the more difficult it will become for the BJP to suppress it and the RSS to suppress it. We of course have slightly different perspectives on the world. We come from different states, we come from different ideas. But I think we should develop a foundation of unity. And then within that foundation of unity, we can have a few discussions and few arguments where we disagree with each other. But I think it is important that now we start to come up with the principles of the foundation of this unity.
Ending the stalemate in border talks that lasted nearly 6 months, India and China have agreed in principle to disengage at a key petrol point in eastern Ladakh, even though other friction areas remain in the region. India and China on Monday said their senior military commanders had constructive talks on their lengthy border standoff, but an anticipated breakthrough on the pullback of troops from two contentious areas did not happen. According to a joint statement that came after the 12th round of talks between the senior military commanders of India and China on Saturday, so far India and China have pulled back their troops from only one of many contentious areas. The Indian men's hockey team bite the dust as they were knocked out by Belgium team. In the semi-final between India and Belgium began on an explosive note with 3 goals coming within the first quarter itself. Belgium converted a penalty corner in the early minutes of the match, but India pulled back with an equalizer from another penalty corner. Hence Belgium winning the match, and now the Indian men's hockey team will be fighting for the bronze medal. In women's javelin throw event, India's Anu Rani's campaign ended as she finished 14th out of 15th in Group A qualification with best attempt of 54.04 meters. Also, the country's wrestling campaign began on a losing note as Sonam Malik lost her 62 kg freestyle pre-quarter final. The Jammu and Kashmir police has released a list of top 10 militants that it aims to target. Inspector General of Police Kashmir Vijay Kumar released a list of top 10 terrorists that are on target by the Jammu and Kashmir police. It includes 7 old terrorists, namely Salim Barai, Yusuf Gandaru, Abbas Sheikh, Riaz Shedragund, Farooq Nali Zubair and Ashraf Molvi, while 3 new terrorists include Shakib Manzoor, Umer Mushtaq Khande and Wakil Shah. After the eruption of militancy in Kashmir, security forces used to dismiss militants as a policy to not bring them into the limelight while they were still at large. However, over the past couple of years, the strategy seems to have changed, with the police releasing lists of wanted militants from time to time. Senior Superintendent of Police of Pathankot in Punjab, Surendra Lamba, said an army helicopter crashed in Ranjit Sagar Dam on Tuesday. There were no immediate reports of any casualty. He said an NDRF team has been deployed to carry out search and rescue operations. The helicopter of the 254 Army Aviation Squadron took off from Mamunkant around 10:20 a.m. The helicopter was carrying out low-level sorties in the Ranjit Sagar Dam area when it crashed. Further details were awaited. After almost a gap of 56 years, India and Bangladesh has resumed regular operation of freight trains along the Haldibari-Chilahati rail route. The Haldibari-Chilahati rail link was inaugurated in December 2020 during a virtual meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladesh PM Sheikh Hasina. The rail route service will strengthen trade relations between the two countries and is also expected to provide opportunity to Northeast India to enter the international market. The distance between Haldibari railway station and the international border is about 4.5 kilometers. Since independence, only 7 rail routes were operational between India and Bangladesh. The Haldibari-Chilahati rail route was operational till 1965 and was part of the broad gauge main route from Kolkata to Siliguri during the partition. Haldibari-Chilahati rail route is expected to improve the economic, trade and social ties between India and Bangladesh. According to Union Health Ministry data, India recorded more than 30,000 fresh COVID-19 cases, while its active caseload is more than 4 lakhs today. The number of deaths climbed to 4,25,195, with 422 deaths in the last 24 hours. The active cases comprise of 1.28% of the total infections. The national COVID-19 recovery rate is 97.38%. The daily positivity rate is 1.85%. The weekly positivity rate was recorded at 2.39%, the ministry data stated. The government has reduced its spending on advertisements. Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting Anurag Thakur told Parliament on Monday. Replying to a question by NCB MP Dr. Fawzia Khan, Thakur said that the government cut down on its advertisement expenditure by reducing the size of non-communication advertisements such as tenders or job vacancies earlier. On July 26, the minister told the upper house that the government's expenditure on advertisements in print, electronic and digital media has steadily declined in the last 3 years. In a written response to BJT MP Samsid Batra's question, Thakur said that the centre spent 429.55 crores on print ads and 514.29 crore on TV ads in 2018 to 2019. In 2019-20, the allocation for print ads fell to 295.05 crores, while the expenditure on electronic media platforms was down to 316.99 crores. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has decided to build more Khelo India centres across the country. The number specified by the ministry is 1,000, out of which 360 centres have already been notified. With an aim to promote sports in India, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has formulated various schemes, which includes the establishment of 1,000 Khelo India centres across the country. In a written reply in Rajya Sabha, Rajya Sabha Minister Anurag Thakur said athletes are being selected under Khelo India scheme and will be provided with an annual financial assistance of 6.28 lakh. He also informed that 236 sports academies